As web developers, security should always be a top priority when building applications. And one crucial aspect of security is ensuring that only authorized users have access to certain parts of your app. In this tutorial, we'll be exploring how to create a robust authentication and authorization system in Laravel using Vue scaffolding. And by the end of this tutorial, you will have a strong foundation for building secure web applications with Laravel. So let's get started. Now, as you can see here, I have created a CRUD system that will create, read, update, and delete products. Now, if you want to watch the video to see how I did that, you will find the video link in the video description. So for now, what we want to achieve in this video, we want to create an authentication system that will authenticate users. And additionally, we still want to authorize users to perform certain tasks, like for example, deleting or adding products on the Laravel app. So head over to the VS Code, and here we're going to install a separate package that provides the Vue authentication scaffolding. So let's open the terminal. And inside here, I'm going to type composer require Laravel UI. So let's hit on enter, and this will install the Laravel UI package. So now the UI package is installed and we're using the version 4.2. And now what we need to do is we need to run another command, which is php artisan UI vue --auth. And what this does, it will generate the authentication scaffolding. As you can see here, we're getting some information which says the authentication scaffolding and Vue scaffolding are installed successfully. And we are also asked to run the npm install and npm run dev to compile our fresh scaffolding. So that is what I'm going to do. So first I'm going to type npm install to install npm. And once npm is installed, I'm going to run npm run dev. And what this command does, it will run the mix module, which is used to compile the JavaScript and CSS files written for the Laravel application. So now that we have run the command, let's head over to the web app. And inside the URI, I'm going to add login as an endpoint, then hit on enter. And then you should be able to get this one here, which is the authentication system that we have created using the Vue scaffolding. And in the top right corner, we have a register button, which we can use to register our new user. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to name this user Jarvis Codes. And the email address that I will use will be info@jarviscodes.com. And then I will use a password. And then I'm going to confirm this password, and then we're going to hit on enter to register the user. And as you can see, we're automatically logged in with a newly created user. And in order for us to log out, we just have to click on the username. But that is something that we won't do for now. Instead, we want to go to the products page. And as you can see, inside the products page, we won't have the login bar shown anymore, which basically means that we can call this page without being logged in, and that is something that we want to get rid of. But first, before we start coding, I want to show you the controllers that we are using to create this scaffolding. We will find them inside the app, then inside the HTTP, and inside the controllers. And here we'll have an extra folder named auth, which is storing the authentication controllers, like for example, confirm password controller. And as you might guess by the name, this is the controller that handles the confirm password. And then we have a forgot password controller as well. And here we are using the send password reset emails facade. And then we have the login controller where we are using the authenticate users facade, followed by the register controller. And inside the register controller, I am basically using two protected functions. The one is the validator, which is used to validate the different fields. And the other one is the create function, which is used to create the user or to register the user. So let's move on to the next controller, which is the reset password controller. Inside here, we are using the reset emails facade. And then we are redirecting to the standard home route. And then we have the last one, which is the verification controller. And inside here, we are using the verifies emails facade together with the redirect to the standard home route. And then we are also creating a constructor, which is applying middleware to the different routes. So that is for the controller. So let's close this file. And now we are heading over to the routes file. And as you can see here, you might have some routes that you haven't created yourself, like for example the auth route and the route get home. So let's explain the auth routes. Now what auth routes does, it is a command that will generate a set of authentication related routes for our application. So if we go inside the terminal, so let's clear first. And then we're going to type a command that will list all the routes for us. So this is PHP artisan route list. And once we run the command, then you will see all the routes that you are using inside your application. And as you can see, we have a normal route with the endpoint home. And for this, we are using the home controller. And then we have multiple routes which starts with the login endpoint or password endpoint. And these routes are the ones that are created using the auth : routes command. And for each one of these routes, we are using the controllers that I've showed you before. So we have routes for password confirm, password email, password reset, and so on. And I'm not going to get much more into details for this, so I'm going to close the terminal. And as next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the views that have been created using the auth scaffolding. So you can find that inside the resources, inside views, and inside auth. And as you're seeing, we have an extra folder called passwords, and inside here we have views that will handle the password confirm, password email, and the password reset. But I'm not going to get much more into detail for that as well, but what we need to see is the login blade file. And as you can see inside the file, we are using the extents from layouts app. And so if we go inside the register, you will find that as well. So what we are going to do is we're going to copy this one. And I'm going to paste this into every single blade file that we have inside the product. So inside the create, I'm going to replace this with product layout. Inside the edit as well. Inside the index. And inside the layout, we don't need that. And inside the show. All right, so let's head over to the app. And inside the URI, we're going to replace home with products. Hit on enter, then you will see that we're getting this nav bar that we didn't before, and the UI has changed a bit. And this is because we're using a different design. So let's head over to the layout file. So this can be found under layouts, and let's open it, scroll down a bit, and then you will find an if statement that will check if the visitor is a guest, then it will show the login together with the register button. If the user is not a guest, then it will show the navbar with the current user that is logged in. So let's head back to the web app, and inside here we're going to create a test product, and we're going to name this Jarvis Codes. Inside detail, I'm going to type test, and let's click on submit. And now we have the product created successfully. Now if I would log out, then we'll be redirected to this. So I'm going to change that, and I'm going to type products again. And as you can see, we're able to perform tasks on the products even if we are not logged in. And my goal is to create a mechanism that will authorize only logged in users to perform tasks on products. So to do that, I'm going to head back to the VS Code. And inside here, I'm going to close all these files since I don't need them. And inside the index is where we're going to create an if statement that will check whether the user is logged in. So right under the first line, I'm going to create an if statement. And inside this statement, I'm going to say if auth : user, which will check if a user is currently logged in. And inside the if statement body, I'm going to copy this div. And I'm going to paste it out. And I'm going to align it as well so it looks better. And now let's head over to the web app and refresh the page. And apparently we are still getting this product. So this might be because we need to add the whole code inside the if statement. So that is what we are going to do. I'm going to copy this whole section and I'm going to paste it out inside here. So now let's go back to the web app again. And as you can see, we are not getting the product anymore. So if I would try to log in, and now let's go to the products. As you can see, now we are authorized to perform tasks on the product. But apparently we are not getting the navbar shown properly. So let's go back to the VS Code. And inside here, I have to put this div row inside the section content. So let's copy that. And I'm going to insert it right where the section content starts. So I'm going to align it. Now, if we go back, then everything is shown properly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to log out first. And let's go to login. Actually, I want to create a new user. So let's click on register. And I'm going to name this editor. And the email address that I'm going to use is going to be editor@jarviscodes.com. And then I'm going to choose a password. And I'm going to confirm the password. And I think the confirmed password was false, so let's rewrite it again. And now that we have a new user created, I'm going to the products again. And as you are seeing, we are getting the products that we created with another user. Now our goal is to show only the products that are created from the currently logged in user. Now to do that, we're going to have to distinguish each product by the user that they are created. And to do that, we need to go back to the VS Code and then to the terminal. And I'm going to make this a bit smaller. And inside here, I'm going to type PHP artisan make migration. And this migration will be named add underscore user underscore ID underscore to underscore products underscore table. Then hit on enter and the new migration will be created successfully. Now let's go to the migration file. And inside the schema, I am going to add the attribute user ID that is going to distinguish whether a product has been created by a certain user. So this attribute is going to be an integer. And then I'm going to replace this with user underscore ID. And I'm going to remove this since I don't need that. And then inside the down function, I'm going to add a drop column. And I'm going to replace this with user underscore ID. Now, before I start migrating this migration file, I'm going to the database table and inside the products. And as you can see, this is the database table that I'm using for the product. So now I'm going to add a new attribute, which is going to be the user ID. And now once we type PHP artisan migrate, then you will see the migration has been run successfully. Now, if we go back and refresh the page, and as you can see, a new attribute has been added. And the reason why we're getting 0 is because when we created the product, we didn't have a value for the user ID, even if we were logged in as Jarvis Codes. So that is what we need to change. Now let's go back to the VS Code. And then we need to go to the controllers, the product controller, and let's go to the store method. Now inside in here, when we are creating the product, we are using the request all method. Now this is used to retrieve all the input data that we are typing when creating a new product. But the problem with that is when we create a new product, we don't have to write the user ID anywhere. So that is why we're going to change the way we insert data into the product table. And the new way is by creating an array. And we're going to assign the request input from name to the name attribute. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the detail as well. And additionally, I'm also going to add the user ID. So I'm going to type user ID. And I'm going to assign the user ID attribute to auth arrow user arrow ID. Now save the file. And then we need to go to the model. And inside here, we're going to have to make user ID fillable. Once you have done that, head back to the web app. And inside here, we're going to delete this unassigned product first. And then we're going to create a new one. And this new one will be named created from editor. And inside the detail, I'm going to type test. Now, if we go inside the database and refresh the page, then we will have a new record with the user ID 3, which is the ID of the user named editor. So if we go inside the users, then you will find editor with the ID 3. So now what we need to do is we need to create a logic that will show only the products from the logged in user. For that, we need to go inside the index plate file. And inside here, we need to scroll down where the for each loop is. And right under the for each loop, I'm going to create an if statement. And the condition is going to be if is set. And the method parameter is going to be auth : user ID. And what this does is it will check whether the user ID is set. And then I'm going to add another condition, which is going to be auth user ID. And I will check whether the auth user ID is equal to the product user ID. And once the condition is done, make sure that you will add the end if before the end for each. And then head over to the web app and log out from the editor user and go to the products page. And we're going to log in as the main user. And once we are logged in, we'll go to the products again. And as you can see, we're getting no product from the editor since we are logged in with the Jarvis Codes user. Now, if we would create one with the Jarvis Codes, we're going to name it created from Jarvis Codes. And inside the detail, I'm going to type detail and hit on submit. And after that, we're going to log out. And let's log in with the editor user again. And let's go back to the products. And let's refresh the page. And as you can see, we're getting the product that we created with the editor user. So that is for this video. Hit the thumbs up if you liked the video and leave a subscribe if you want to hear more from me, and I hope to see you next time.